In the shadows of a forest near the Shinoda Shrine, a young man named Yasuna walked among ancient trees, known for his devotion to the natural balance. The sound of the wind whistled through the leaves like a mystical song. On an ordinary day, his life would change forever. As Yasuna explored, he heard frantic barking and saw a group of hunters cornering a brilliant white fox, its fur glowing under the moonlight. Without hesitation, he intervened, facing the hunters. Despite the risks, Yasuna managed to save her and drive the pursuers away. When his eyes met those of the fox, he felt something beyond understanding, a deep connection. As the hunters disappeared into the forest, Yasuna knelt before the wounded fox. Its paws were stained with blood, and its gaze carried both pain and gratitude. "You're safe now," he whispered, removing a piece of cloth from his tunic to improvise a bandage. The fox, instead of running away, watched the young man closely. There was something in his posture, in the gentleness of his hands, that made her hesitate. Yasuna carefully lifted the fox, determined to treat her, even though he didn't understand why he was risking so much for a wild animal. Taking her to his modest cabin in the village, Yasuna spent days caring for her. Gradually, the fox began to recover, though she always held an enigmatic gleam in her eyes. At night, Yasuna felt that something unusual was happening. He would wake to the sound of light footsteps and catch a glimpse of a feminine figure in the distance, always surrounded by a pale light. The image would disappear before he could understand. One night, as the full moon illuminated the fields, the figure appeared more clearly. Before Yasuna, the fox transformed into a beautiful woman with long black hair and a white kimono. Her voice was as soft as the wind. "My name is Kuzunoha," she said, bowing respectfully. "I am a spiritual fox. You risked your life for me, and I cannot express my gratitude in human words. I wish to repay your act of kindness." Yasuna was stunned, but the warmth in Kuzunoha's words calmed him. In the following days, she stayed by his side, taking on her human form. Over time, a genuine friendship blossomed between them, growing into something deeper. Her presence brought life to Yasuna's solitary cabin, and the connection between them transcended any difference between their worlds. After months of living together, Yasuna and Kuzunoha were married. The village, though suspicious of the mysterious woman, who rarely appeared in public, accepted the young couple because of the respect Yasuna had earned over the years. In secret, Kuzunoha used her powers to protect the village from natural disasters and diseases. The pinnacle of their happiness came with the birth of their son, Seimei. From an early age, Seimei showed a special sensitivity to the world around him, as if he carried within him his mother's magic and his father's humanity. Despite the happiness, a shadow hung over Kuzunoha. She knew that her true form could not remain hidden forever. The tension grew in her heart as she struggled to maintain the illusion of an ordinary life. Every time Seimei looked at her, his sharp perception seemed to touch something beyond the surface. One night, as she tucked Seimei into bed, Kuzunoha stroked the boy's hair and whispered, "Never forget, my son, that love can cross any barrier." Even those that seem insurmountable, these words carried a weight that Seimei was too young to understand, but Yasuna, in silence, was beginning to perceive. Years passed, and Kuzunoha's family seemed to live in harmony. Abno Seimei, now 5 years old, was a curious and intelligent child, constantly exploring the surroundings of the cabin and asking about everything he saw. However, there was something about him that did not go unnoticed. He could see things that other children could not. Spirits of the wind, fleeting shadows in the trees, and even whispers in the river's waters. It was a gift that fascinated him, but also unsettled Kuzunoha. One night, while Yasuna was away working in a nearby field, Seimei played alone inside the house. He picked up an old mirror, a gift that Kuzunoha had carefully kept. As he gazed into the reflection, something strange happened. The image of his mother appeared, but instead of the beautiful woman he knew, the mirror showed a white fox with glowing eyes. "Why are you a fox, mother?" Seimei asked with the innocence of a child. Kuzunoha, who was in the other room, felt a chill upon hearing the question. She knew this moment would come, but she hadn't expected it to be so soon. Taking a deep breath, she entered the room and found Seimei holding the mirror. His face showed curiosity, not fear, and that comforted her. "I am your mother, Seimei, before anything else," she responded softly. "There are things about me that are different. You are young, but your heart feels what I am, doesn't it?" Seimei nodded, but before he could ask more questions, the door opened. Yasuna entered, weary, but he sensed the tension in the air. Kuzunoha averted her gaze, avoiding confrontation. That night, while Seimei slept, she told Yasuna what had happened. "I can no longer hide who I am," Kuzunoha said, her voice trembling. "Seimei saw me as I truly am. It's only a matter of time before others notice. I need to protect him, and you..." Yasuna took her hands, looking into her eyes. "You are Kuzunoha, my wife and the mother of my child. Nothing will change that. We will face whatever comes together." But the world around them began to change. Stories of strange apparitions and mysterious happenings in the forest started to circulate. More superstitious neighbors in the village began to grow suspicious of the family. Some reported seeing a supernatural light coming from Yasuna's cabin at night. Others whispered that Kuzunoha was a dangerous creature, a fox deceiving men. A group of village elders confronted Yasuna, demanding answers. "Your wife was never seen among us before you married. Who is she, and where did she come from?" they asked with accusatory tones. Yasuna stood firm, denying all accusations and protecting Kuzunoha's secret. Meanwhile, Kuzunoha watched from a distance, her heart torn between the desire to protect her family and the fear of putting them in danger. She knew the harmony they had built was beginning to crumble. That same night, Kuzunoha made a decision. Seimei was sleeping soundly, and Yasuna sat by the fireplace, lost in thought. With trembling hands, Kuzunoha wrote a letter, her tears staining the paper. "If you truly love me, come visit me at the shrine in Shinoda. I can no longer live among humans without putting you and our son in danger." But know that my love for you both is eternal. She left the letter beside Yasuna and, before the light of dawn broke, departed for the forest. In her fox form, she vanished among the trees, guided by sadness, but also by the hope that one day they would be reunited. The morning arrived cold and silent. Yasuna woke with an inexplicable emptiness. As he looked to his side, he found the letter Kuzunoha had left. As he read it, his heart broke. He understood that she had left to protect them all, but he also felt that a part of himself had been taken with her. With the letter trembling in his hands, he looked at young Seimei, who was innocently playing with a piece of wood, unaware of his mother's absence. If you truly love me, come visit me at the shrine in Shinoda. Those words echoed in his mind like a calling. He knew he had to go not just out of love for Kuzunoha, but to understand the destiny that now seemed to bind his family to forces far beyond the human world. Yasuna prepared Seimei for a long journey, explaining as gently as he could that they were going to find his mother. Despite his young age, Seimei seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation, holding tightly to his father's hand as they crossed dense forests and icy rivers. Along the way, Seimei began to display remarkable abilities. He instinctively knew which direction to take, pointed out hidden shortcuts, and seemed to hear whispers on the wind that no one else could perceive. It's your mother's magic, Yasuna thought, watching his son with a mixture of awe and apprehension. As night fell, and they rested near a small stream, Yasuna noticed they weren't alone. Small lights floated around them, not fireflies, but glowing intensely, with an almost living presence. They were forest spirits, drawn to Kuzunoha's essence, and now to Seimei's growing energy. One of them approached, taking the form of a translucent human figure. "You seek the sacred fox," the spirit said in an echoing voice. "Your journey is dangerous. There are those who do not wish for humans to cross the boundaries of the sacred." Yasuna bowed his head in respect. "I love her, and I cannot let her face this alone." The spirit looked at Seimei, who stared back with unsettling curiosity. "The boy, he is special. Take care. Greater forces are at play." Before Yasuna could ask more, the lights vanished, leaving only the sound of the stream and the night wind. After days of travel, father and son finally arrived at the Shinoda Shrine. The place was majestic, with red torii gates stretching along a long path flanked by ancient trees. At the center, a small stone house was surrounded by a field of white flowers that glowed under the moonlight. It was a place that seemed to exist between worlds, both welcoming and distant at the same time. Seimei ran ahead, guided by something invisible. As they entered the shrine, Yasuna stopped, stunned by what he saw. On the altar was Kuzunoha in her fox form, gazing at them with eyes full of emotion. Upon seeing them, she transformed back into her human form, but something about her seemed different, more ethereal, almost as if she no longer fully belonged to the human world. "You came," Kuzunoha said, her words filled with relief and sorrow. She held Seimei in her arms, and for the first time, Yasuna saw tears streaming from her eyes. "I knew I couldn't stay away from you." But before they could celebrate their reunion, a voice echoed through the sanctuary. It was deep and reverberating, like distant thunder. A guardian spirit, in the form of a great golden fox, emerged from a cloud of light. He was the protector of the sanctuary and looked at Kuzunoha with a mixture of judgment and compassion. "You have challenged the laws of balance by living as a human," he said. "But you have also brought something precious to our world. This boy carries within him the bridge between us and them. Because of this, I will not punish you, but there are conditions." "What conditions?" Kuzunoha asked, nervous. "The boy must be trained. He is destined for greatness, but this journey will demand sacrifices. And you, Kuzunoha, cannot fully return to human life. You must remain here as the shrine's guardian." Yasuna protested, his voice breaking. "I cannot lose my wife again. I cannot raise our son alone." Kuzunoha embraced him, whispering, "I will always be with you, one way or another. Seimei needs both of us, even if we are in different worlds." Yasuna realized there was no other choice. To protect Seimei and honor the love they shared, he agreed to let Kuzunoha remain in the sanctuary. Kuzunoha, in turn, promised to use her powers to guide and protect her family, even from a distance. Seimei, though young, seemed to understand the significance of the moment. He held his mother's hand and said with surprising determination, "I will make you proud, Mother. I'll take care of Father and learn everything I can." Kuzunoha smiled, tears in her eyes. "I never doubted that." After the farewell at the Shinoda sanctuary, Yasuna and Seimei returned to the village, but their lives would never be the same. While Yasuna tried to maintain a normal routine to raise his son, Seimei began to show increasingly extraordinary abilities. By the age of 7, he could already sense the presence of spirits, manipulate small energies around him, and even predict events before they happened. This caught the attention of spiritual masters in the region, who recognized in him a unique talent. Yasuna, understanding that his son's future would require special preparation, took Seimei to Kyoto, the capital of Japan at the time, where Onmyoji masters of mystical arts, who balanced spiritual and natural forces, lived. There, Seimei began his training under the guidance of a renowned master. He learned to interpret the cycles of the heavens, channel spiritual energies, and protect villages from malevolent forces. Despite being far from home, Seimei never felt alone. During his meditations, he could feel Kuzunoha's presence. Sometimes, a gentle breeze would bring her familiar scent, and other times, vivid dreams would connect him to her, where she would encourage him to keep going. As Seimei grew, dark forces began to emerge in the region. Restless spirits and malevolent creatures, known as Yokai, started to attack villages and pilgrims. Many believed this was connected to Seimei's presence, as he was now seen as a threat by entities that preferred to maintain chaos. One night, Yasuna received a warning from Kuzunoha through a dream. She alerted him about a particularly dangerous creature, a beast formed from parts of different animals, with the power to manipulate storms and spread fear. The Nu was hunting Seimei, fearing that he might become powerful enough to end its existence. Upon hearing this, Yasuna decided to protect Seimei at all costs. Father and son returned to the Shinoda sanctuary, seeking the help of Kuzunoha and the spiritual guardian. There, Seimei began intense training, learning to create protective talismans and summon the powers of the sanctuary. Seimei, now 13 years old, had become a wise and confident young man. He had learned to control his abilities with precision and channel the power inherited from his mother. During this time, he began to understand the importance of balance what Kuzunoha had sacrificed to protect him and the weight of his own responsibilities. One night, while practicing at the shrine, Seimei had a vision. Kuzunoha appeared before him in her fox form, enveloped in a golden light. She said, "Destiny calls, my son. You are not only my legacy, but a bridge between humans and spirits. What you do with this gift will be remembered for generations." With those words, Seimei understood that his journey was not just personal. He held the power to bring peace to both worlds. Finally, the confrontation with the Nu took place. The creature, a mixture of tiger, serpent, and monkey, attacked the shrine on a stormy night. Yasuna fought to protect the sacred place, while Seimei, armed with talismans and enchantments, faced the creature directly. The battle was intense. The Nu was enormous, its presence darkening the sky, and its voice echoing like thunder. Seimei, however, remained calm. He remembered his master's teachings and the strength of his mother. Reciting an ancient incantation, he summoned a barrier of light that trapped the Nu. With the help of Kuzunoha, who appeared as a giant spiritual fox, they sealed the creature into a sacred rock, protecting the human world from its evil. After the victory, Seimei was recognized as a legendary Onmyoji. He traveled across Japan, helping villages, sealing malevolent spirits, and restoring harmony between the worlds. Yasuna, although now aging, accompanied his son with pride, while Kuzunoha continued to guide them spiritually. Seimei never forgot the sacrifice of his mother. In every shrine he visited, he would light a candle in her honor, ensuring that her spirit remained strong and present. Years passed, and Seimei, now a young adult, was revered throughout Japan as the most powerful Onmyoji of his era. He balanced the spiritual and human worlds with wisdom, but one final trial awaited to test not only his power, but also his heart. One night, while Seimei was meditating at the Shinoda Shrine, he was visited by the golden fox spirit, the guardian of the shrine. The entity appeared restless, its light flickering with instability. "The balance between the worlds is in danger," said the spirit. "An ancient and forgotten force is awakening. It threatens to destroy the bridge that connects humans and spirits. And you, Seimei, are the only hope to restore order." Seimei accepted the challenge without hesitation, but a persistent doubt lingered in his heart. He knew that any imbalance in the spiritual world would directly affect his mother, Kuzunoha, whose existence was intrinsically linked to the balance between the worlds. The Guardian confirmed his fears. If he failed, Kuzunoha would be consumed by the destructive force. The entity that was awakening was known as the Dark Tsukuyomi, a corrupted manifestation of the lunar god that had been sealed for millennia. Feeding on human fear and imbalance, the Dark Tsukuyomi was growing in power and threatened to consume both spirits and humans in its eternal darkness. To face it, Seimei needed to tap into an energy that transcended his usual abilities. He would have to unite the powers inherited from Kuzunoha and the spiritual energies of the sanctuary's guardians. But there was a terrible risk. By channeling such energy, his connection with Kuzunoha could be severed forever. At the peak of a mountain, shrouded in mystical fog, where the veil between worlds was thinnest, Seimei confronted the dark Tsukuyomi. The entity was colossal, with eyes that shone like black moons, and an aura that seemed to drain the very light from the world. Yasuna, despite his advanced age, insisted on accompanying his son, even knowing he could not fight. You are strong because you carry the love of your mother and my support. This will be your most powerful weapon, Yasuna said before the battle. Seimei invoked the power of the sanctuary, creating barriers and talismans to contain the Tsukuyomi. The battle was fierce, with bursts of spiritual energy lighting up the sky. Despite his power, Tsukuyomi seemed invincible, adapting to every attack. At the most critical moment, when everything seemed lost, Kuzunoha appeared in her fox form. Her figure shone brightly, a fusion of celestial light and earthly energy. She joined her strength with Seimei's, creating a magical circle that surrounded Tsukuyomi. My son, use my essence. I am part of you, Kuzunoha said, her voice echoing with love and courage. With tears in his eyes, Seimei focused all the accumulated energy and cast a final spell, using his mother's essence to seal Tsukuyomi in a lunar crystal. The explosion of light was so intense that it temporarily blinded everyone present. When the dust settled, Tsukuyomi had vanished, but the price of victory was clear. Kuzunoha was weakened, her spiritual form flickering like a flame about to extinguish. Mother, Seimei cried, kneeling beside her. I can't lose you, Kuzunoha smiled, her expression serene. You haven't lost me, Seimei. I am in everything you do, in everything you are. My role in this world is complete. You have brought balance and saved both worlds. Now, I must return to the spiritual flow. She looked at Yasuna, who held her hand firmly. Thank you for loving me. Even when I was different, you were my greatest joy. With one final glow, Kuzunoha dissolved into a shower of lights, which were absorbed by the lunar crystal sealed in the sanctuary. Although devastated by the loss, Seimei realized that his mother had never truly left him. Her energy flowed throughout the sanctuary, and every flower, every breeze that passed through the place carried her spirit. Yasuna returned to the village, proud of his son and grateful for the years he had spent alongside Kuzunoha. Seimei continued to serve as the most respected Onmyoji in Japan, teaching others to honor and protect the balance between the worlds. The sun rose over the Shinoda Shrine, casting a golden light that seemed to bless everything around it. The battle against the dark Tsukuyomi had ended, but the marks of the confrontation were deep. Yasuna and Seimei stayed at the shrine for several days, reflecting on what they had lost and what they had gained. With Kuzunoha's essence now flowing through the lunar crystal in the shrine, Seimei felt that his connection to her would never be broken. He promised to honor her legacy by protecting the balance between the worlds. Upon returning to Kyoto, Seimei was greeted as a hero. The people saw him not only as a master of spiritual arts, but as someone who embodied wisdom, courage, and compassion. Seimei began training new Onmyojis, sharing his knowledge with those who showed respect for the forces of nature and spirit. He used Kuzunoha's teachings to remind everyone that true power came from love, harmony, and sacrifice. Yasuna, now aged, decided to spend his final years in the village where it all began. He took care of the lands and the local shrine, often talking to the villagers about Kuzunoha, not as a spiritual fox, but as the woman who transformed his life. He became a respected figure, a bridge between the human and the supernatural, just like Seimei. Despite Kuzunoha's physical absence, Yasuna felt her presence in every moment of peace he experienced. At night, as the wind whispered through the trees, he sometimes heard a familiar murmur, as if she were still by his side. The Shinoda Shrine became a sacred place visited by many. The lunar crystal, now containing Kuzunoha's essence and the power of the sealed Tsukuyomi, glowed softly on the main altar. It was said that those who visited the shrine and sought protection could feel Kuzunoha's presence, especially in moments of despair or doubt. Seimei visited the shrine regularly, bringing offerings and tending to the place with reverence. He knew that, despite being one of the most powerful Onmyojis, his strength came from the deep bond with his mother and father. One night, Seimei had a dream. He was once again in the forest, where Yasuna had first found Kuzunoha. Under the moonlight, he saw his mother in her fox form. She walked toward him, calm and serene. "You have fulfilled your destiny, my son," Kuzunoha said with a smile. "I couldn't be prouder. Remember that love transcends all. Even when the worlds separate, it is eternal." Seimei woke up with a sense of peace. He knew that his mother was in harmony, taking care of the balance in the spiritual world, while he did the same in the human world. Years passed, and Seimei continued to be a legendary figure. Stories about his courage, wisdom, and connection with the sacred fox became legends told throughout Japan. He kept his promise to protect the harmony between the worlds, but he never forgot his humble roots and Kuzunoha's sacrifice. In the end, the love that united a fox and a human transcended the barriers of time and space, leaving an eternal legacy. The Shinoda Shrine remained a symbol of hope, reminding all who visited that even the deepest differences can be overcome by the power of love. Decades later, a young Onmyoji apprentice, inspired by the stories of Abe no Seimei, made his first visit to the Shinoda Shrine. As he entered, he felt a gentle breeze and heard a whisper in the wind. "If love guides your heart, it will lead you beyond any limit." The young man smiled, certain that the spirit of Kuzunoha still watched over the place and the hearts of those who sought balance.